뉴질랜드에서 선생님이라는 직업은 어떨까? 한국과 비교해서 뉴질랜드에서 선생님으로 오랫동안 일해왔던 친구를 인터뷰해 보았다. 우선 한국에서 나도 영어를 가르쳐 봤지만 한국의 학원이 아닌 학교의 선생님 연봉을 대략 정리해 보자면 대학교를 교육 관련해서 졸업한 뒤 실습이나 교생을 통해 교사가 되고 보통 초등학교 교사는 연봉 3천만 원에서 시작을 한다고 나왔고 중고등학교 같은 경우 3,500만 원 정도부터 시작을 한다고 나와 있다. 뉴질랜드는 교사로 지원할 때 그 경력이나 학력에 따라 연봉이 달라진다. 초등학교 같은 경우 초봉이 5만 5천 불 정도부터 시작이 된다고 하는데 한국 돈으로는 4,500만 원 정도부터이다. 뉴질랜드 물가에 비하면 턱없이 부족한 초봉이다. 그리고 호주에 비해 교사와 경찰, 의사, 간호사 등 전문직의 연봉이 너무 낮기 때문에 현재 뉴질랜드 영주권 시민권자들이 쉽게 호주로 이민 갈 수 있게 바뀌어버린 올해로서는 더 많은 부족 전문직 분들이 호주로 이민을 결정하고 있다.
Thanks for your time, Cecilia.
Thank you.
So, what do you do for work?
So I'm a primary school teacher in New Zealand and I have been for about 8 years now.
Okay, 8 years. Wow. You're still a teacher?
I am still a teacher, yeah.
What were you doing before this?
Before this, I worked in marketing. So I did a few years working as a marketing executive. And so just different exposure to a different career path in New Zealand.
Can you please explain what you do at your role and what your role is called right now?
Yeah,
Because
so-
it's slightly different from teaching kids.
Yeah, sure. So I'm not classroom based at the moment. I work between schools, and that means I work with students who have different needs that need a little bit of maybe specialist education. I'm a teacher, and it's called a resource teacher, where we're not based inside a specific classroom or a school. So we work across a cluster of schools. So for myself, I'm working across central Auckland. And what that looks like is that we work with children who need a little bit of specialist care. So
Can you please explain more about what you used to do when you were a teacher?
classroom teacher,
Yes,
yeah.
classroom
So the
teacher.
difference between a classroom teacher is that you are based inside a classroom for the whole day. So it means that you are at one specific school and you have one class. So that's the difference. In New Zealand, you stay with your whole class for the whole day and you teach them every subject. And that may look like teaching English, that may look like teaching science, and to PE and swimming as well.
So, what ages did you teach and what school?
Yeah. So I taught everywhere from year 3 to 4, and that is around age 7 to 9, to year 5, 6, around the kind of 10 to 11 age, and then year 7, 8, and that was a school out in South Auckland.
For teachers in New Zealand, what do you think they're happy about and what are they not happy about? You can talk about the pros and cons working as a teacher in New Zealand. So this is only your opinion, your side of the story, so it wouldn't affect anyone.
So as I mentioned before, in New Zealand, education is different because you stay with your class for the whole day. So typically that looks like a class of maybe from 25 to 30 children.
Yeah.
So that's in what we call a single cell classroom, and you are the one teacher. At the previous school I was at, it's called ILE, so it's an innovative learning environment, and that is most similar to an open plan office. And in different schools they may look like working with 2 other teachers in a big space, and other schools it may be just one teacher. So what that might mean is that you might be 3 teachers and teaching across a group of say 80 to 90 children. So the pros of that is that you can be really collaborative. You can really teach to the strengths, and you can also lean on the strengths of other teachers. So if one teacher was particularly skilled at maths, then she can take a bit of a lead in the classroom, and same goes the other way. If you have a particular strength, you'll be able to use that more effectively. So the other pro is that because you're with the group of students for the whole day, you get to know them really well. So you become a bit more of you have a very close relationship with them, and that really you can tell by the end of a year when some of them start calling you mum or dad, because you see them maybe sometimes more than the actual parents. So they're at school from anywhere between 8:30 to 3.
Yep.
So that's a long time, and you sometimes become the first port of contact if anything happens to them. So the con is that because you teach all subject areas in New Zealand, that you can sometimes feel like you are a master of none, or in other words, like you just have a bit of knowledge in each area. And I know that's different to some countries where in primary school you start to specialize, as for example an English teacher. So you get to refine your lessons a little bit more because you teach them all the time, so you can find better ways to teach it.
Yep.
And you can just build more knowledge around that.
So what do you need to have in terms of if you want to become a teacher?
Yeah.
What degrees do you need to have?
Okay, so there are a few different pathways to becoming a teacher in New Zealand. You can do a Bachelor of Education, which is I think around 3 years, and you can do that straight out of high school. And the one that I did is a postgraduate diploma in primary school teaching, and that is a 1-year course, and it is on top of an existing bachelor degree. So no matter what bachelor degree you have, it can be anything from music to what I had, marketing, you can become a teacher based on that. So the pro of the 1 year is that it means that you can easily train to be a teacher. 3 years, you do get a lot more classroom experience.
I think the teachers in New Zealand, they are still not happy with the minimum wage, do you call it? The pay they get, the average pay, or average salary they're getting. So I know they've been negotiating with the Ministry of Education for a long time now about getting the pay raise. But can you tell me more about it, because I only see the news, so I'm not really.
Yeah, which is one kind of point of view. So in teaching we have something called a pay scale. So it is a different rate depending on how many years of experience you have. However, that is capped. So for me, with my existing qualifications, it starts off at a certain level. For example, we talked about in the bachelor level of education, you also start off at a different level. That's a lower level. So the more qualification you have, the different level that you have in starting. So the big thing is why we are constantly negotiating is because there is something called a price ceiling. So it is capped. So that means no matter if you have been teaching for over 20 years and you have an amazing wealth of experience, you're not rewarded at that. So for me, after 8 years or so, I think usually 8 to 10 years, you've reached your cap already. And so you are not rewarding teachers for having all that extra experience. And so that means that some teachers who are teaching over 20 years, they're earning the same salary as their own daughter or son who have just graduated. And it is a little bit of a slap in the face. And it also doesn't encourage teachers to stay in the profession because you can get paid better elsewhere doing a different type of job that could be less strenuous. So that's one thing. And also the other reason is because the increase of the salary that we're getting, it's actually not matching inflation. So that means the price of everything else is going up more than our actual pay. So in the media it may look like that we're getting huge steps, but as of now we still haven't gotten anything, even though in the media it says that we have accepted the offer. And what is often advertised through the media is the final rate, and we won't be getting that until the end of next year. It's all over. So even the base salary as well, because for someone who is starting off, it's extremely low. I remember when I first started teaching, and we would calculate actually what are we earning based on the hours. It was way below minimum wage because of the hours that you put in versus your salary. For a lot of people it is because their family is in New Zealand, so it is a big thing to have to sacrifice and to start a new life in Australia. And it's not set the same across all schools as well, but at the moment generally you have your primary school education, which is from year 1 to year 6. that ends there. And then you have 2 years called intermediate education. So that might look like going to a different school, and that you spend 2 years there, and then you head into year 9 to year 13, which is high school or secondary school. So like I said, generally it's like that. Some schools these days are launching what is called junior college and secondary. So that may look like having a school, the junior college, which is year 7 to now year 10.
Oh, so it's like Asian junior high school level.
Yeah.
So they're kind of dividing into 2 rather than having one whole high school.
Yes, and because in New Zealand they don't start external exams until year 11. So by having a senior college, you're kind of into a little bit of a more serious environment maybe, where you're really concentrating on those external exams.
External exams, you mean by like NCAs?
Yeah, so NCA is like external exams that we have. So it's a national examination and it's a standardized examination. Also, the thing about New Zealand high school and the NCA format is that we have some exams which are done at the end of a year. They're called external. And then there are things called the internals, which are assessments that are done within the school. So that means that it's a little bit of a less stressful environment because you can gain some credits during the course of your year. So you will know that, for example, you may only have 20 credits you need to be able to pass level 1 NCEA. So not all the studying, not all the stress is done at the end of a year. And this also allows for more practical projects as well to be assessed during the year. So NCEA level 1, there's 3 levels. So level 1 starts at year 11. And so year 12 does level 2.
Oh, so they do different NCAs.
Yes.
Okay, so year 11 NCA level 1. Year 12 NCA level 2. And then the final year NCA level 3. Okay, so they need to finish the high school to be able to go to uni.
They need to gain a certain number of credits.
Oh, okay, so if they gain enough in year 12, they can just go straight to the uni.
And a lot of people do. The other choice that students have is some schools have Cambridge exams as well. So I know some parents, they prefer to send their children to those schools instead. So that's just their parental choice.
Okay. There are one NCA in Cambridge.
Yes.
And the other one is there any else?
The other one, let me have a think. It's called IB, I think.
IB.
First of all, in New Zealand, apart from universities, there are polytechnics as well. So that means that if you prefer to study other subjects like carpentry, you can go to Unitec. So University of Auckland is not the only university. AUT is also another one that's really famous for the communications degree. So there are a lot more choices, and you actually should be looking at what the strengths are for that uni rather than the name of the uni. University of Auckland, I remember being quite scared of not being able to get in, so there's a little bit of pressure, but I would say yes, the bulk of the learning does happen at university. It's just the rate of the learning is a lot faster. You're in a lecture hall with a lot more people, so you have to be a lot more proactive in asking for help if you don't understand anything, and also working with people of all kinds of backgrounds as well.
Do you have anything that could be very helpful for Korean people to know in terms of...
I think if you are considering a pathway in New Zealand, it's really lovely to see a range of different teachers, because obviously if you're Korean, then you will be able to connect with Korean students or the family in a different way, in a closer way. And in New Zealand, we really celebrate the different cultures as well. So there are different language weeks. So for myself, I'm from Hong Kong, and we celebrate Chinese language week. So when it comes around, I'm able to lead those celebrations and teach others about my culture as well.
within Auckland?
Yeah, so that varies greatly across the whole of Auckland. So across South Auckland, West Auckland, North Shore where we're at now, the schools are very different, and that is, you know, based on the demographics of who goes to the school. So one thing I would say, don't go to a primary school that is across Auckland, because you'll be developing relationships with the parents as well, and also for the children. So, you know, choose a school that is going to be relatively close to where you're at. And that's one thing. Secondly, consider, for example, if you're here in New Zealand to learn English, considering looking at the reports of a school. So these reports can be accessed by anyone, and they're called ERO reports, so ERO, and that breaks down the schools. So you don't have to go through your agent to access these reports. You can go and look at them, look at the demographics of a school. I know when we first came to New Zealand, it was an intentional choice to live on the shore. At that point, there weren't that many Asians. I can't say the same for now. And even across North Shore, for example, you'll have schools that are generally Asian. So just being aware of that, because your children will end up being molded by that school.
Completely agree. Wow, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you've had a long week.
And the birds are out.
Yes.
Yeah. So in New Zealand, just to show you, we've got schools like this. So different classes, they go into different rooms, right? For like, for example, this class may be math and that class might be art. No?
They stay in the same room, so that's the difference.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
So all the classrooms are equipped with, for example, art equipment, or like they have their own PE gear.
So when I was in high school in Wellington, they used to have a room for science.
Yeah,
Room for,
yeah. So that high school is definitely more specialized.
But like primary schools like this, they
You are trapped
they
in one
normally
room.
yeah.
Yes. So yeah, this probably is student led.
And what is it?
Pohutakawa.
Yes. It's a New Zealand Christmas tree.
It is.